Alright, so as mentioned at the end of the previous video, the next step is to set up the Redux DevTools, the store DevTools, so that we can enable the Redux DevTools extension here. Alright, so for that, you'll have to scroll down a little bit under Developer Tools in the website, okay? And then you will see NgRx Store DevTools, and then Installation. And you see that you need to do two steps actually. The first one is to add the store DevTools dependency, and the second one is, so obviously it will be the equivalent of adding it in the package.json as mentioned here and running npm install. That's what ng-add would do. And then we'll need to add the store DevTools module with its proper configuration in the imports array of the app module. All right, so the dependency, we don't need to add it, because if you check after you have downloaded the projects or in Stack Bleeds, if you look at the package.json, so for example this is the final project, the package.json under developer dependency, under the dev dependencies, we see that we have the NgRx store DevTools. Okay, so they are already there, as well as in the starting point that you will perform the tutorial on, they are there, so we don't need that step. The only thing we need is to import the store DevTools module and add its appropriate configuration. So let's copy it and go to our final project, and then under the app module, here are the imports. Let's make it like this, and you need to add this, very important, after the store module, otherwise it won't work. All right, so let's import the isDevMod function from Angular core, and unfortunately the IDE doesn't help us with this one, so we need to help it a little bit. Let's copy the store module, paste it here, and let's import the store DevTools module from, as you've seen in the package.json, the dependency is called store DevTools. Here it is. Okay, so we should be good to go. Let's save and let's have a look. And now you see that the extension is green, and under the Redux DevTools we can see our state with the count. All right, so by the way, these two Stack Bleeds tabs, we don't need them, so we can remove them. All right, so I just want to show you that the order is very important, as I mentioned before. If I take this and put it before the store module, we don't have the store anymore. All right, so very important to put it after. All right, now we have it. Okay, let's set up the same for the starting point. So let's copy this line and let's open our app module, and under the imports let's add this. All right, we do the proper imports, and let's copy this import that we had here. All right, okay, perfect. But you see here that we only have the store DevTools module, but we don't have the store module yet, right? Because it is part of the tutorial. So for that reason, if we go here, we don't see the DevTools. The state that you see here is actually the state of the other app. Okay, there is not even any feature called count that is implemented here. It's just a kind of a bug in the Redux DevTools. Sometimes when you open a tab and you go to another tab, it's there. So you can just ignore that. But this is not related to the store of this app, but of the other tab. You can clearly see that the DevTools are not enabled here, whereas they are enabled here. Okay, perfect. So this is for the setup. So now we have all the proper setup ready. We can have a look at what happens in the final example. So what we want to reach. We see that when we click on increment, there is what we call an action that is dispatched. And we can clearly see it in the DevTools. So it's very interesting. You can see the actions and we can see the state. So you see that every time I incremented the action, the state is incremented. And from the state, we are reading, subscribing and using selectors to read from the state to display that here. All right. And if I click on decrement, you see the actions. And then if I reset counter, you see the actions. And the other thing that you can see is that for each action, you can see the difference that it applied on the state. All right. So you can see the difference. We were in the state 0 and it went from 0 to 1. From 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, and then 4 to 3 when we decremented, 3 to 2, and then from 2 to 0 when we dispatched the reset action. All right. You can also click on action to see what is the type of the action. So it's just the same name that you can see here. And there is another thing called the payload of the action. But these actions don't have any payload. Okay. Themselves, their type carried information on what should happen. Sometimes an action could have a payload. For example, a payload could be what would be the increment. So the increment would be by 1 or by 2 or by 3. And then it will go from 0 to 3 to 6 to whatever. But in this case, it's just increment. So by default, we assume it's by 1. So the reducer itself that will react to the actions, the moment it will see the action, it will increment by 1. But it could have been dynamic and increment by the payload that comes with the action. But the goal of the tutorial is to keep it quite simple. So all the actions here do not have any payload. You will see in the next walkthrough tutorial, which is also an official tutorial here, this one that we will deal with the payloads. Okay, but for now this is quite simple. Okay, so that's the goal. So you can already get used to the Redux DevTools, the actions, the state, the difference that each action apply on the state. All right, and when you click on an action, it will show you the state at the time of that action. All right, so at initialization it was 0, first action dispatched, it became 1, then 2. All right, you click again to have the latest state. You click again to unselect the action. So be careful, sometimes you might look at the state and see that that's not the state that you're having here. It's because you selected an action. You need to unselect it. All right, and then when you increment, you will see the new state. If I select, okay, here I see 3. So if you see, even if I increment, I don't see the state changing. It's because it's showing you the state at this action. When you unselect it, it shows 7, which is what we have here. Perfect. So everything is set up. So the next step will be to do actually the proper tutorial to try to reach this stage. All right. So the tutorial starts here actually, where we will start implementing everything. All right.